Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy Cereal Bowl Sunday. So glad you guys are here today. If you're new or visiting our church for the first time, I would like to encourage you to stop by at our welcome table and get a gift for you that will give you a little more information about our church and why we do things the way we do at Crosswalk and why we teach the way we do. So please be sure you stop by and pick that up. And thank you for this wonderful outpouring of cereal. This is awesome. Thank you all, of course. This is definitely going to stock our food pantry for quite a while. And I can't really tell if you guys are going for the Seahawks or the Patriots because it looks pretty even. Or is this a sign that you really just don't care? And so everyone says, where's the don't care table? Because they were just going to put it on there. But thank you again for supporting our ministries here at Crosswalk and our missions in our food pantry. And then Carrie, I want you to come up and share this morning.
Yay! So you guys, I just asked Star if I could have just a chance to thank you. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Linda and I so appreciate it. So thank you. And not just for this, but all year long, you guys leave us canned goods and your egg cartons and shopping bags and everything out in the lobby for us, and it's all appreciated. We thank you. And then also for supporting our kids and Kids Crossing for their chili drive last month. You guys helped them collect 167 cans of chili. Woohoo! That's like 14 cases. So yes, that is going to last us a long time too. So thank you guys for supporting the kids and supporting us. We just thank you. And just on a real quick side note, totally unrelated, if you're happening to see the little blurb in the back of your bulletin about another opportunity to come fitness dance, and you think, oh, that sounds fun, and it is. But just for today only, if you were planning on joining us because of the Super Bowl, she moved it up an hour. So if you want to come dance with us, have some fun, 2 o'clock instead of the regular 3. And thank you guys. I appreciate you all.
Thanks, Carrie. I do have to tell you, one of our little seniors went out looking for some chili. She went into 3 stores. One of them was Costco. And she walked around thinking everyone else had grabbed the chili. So she was looking in everybody's cart and there was no chili to be found. So she did go get us some, and she brought us some cans of chili. So thank you, Darlene, for that. And then also want to remind you, we did change the date on the Holy Crab. It's a feast. So want to encourage you to sign up for this. We're trying to have a minimum of so many people that are attending, and we have noticed since we changed the date, we've gotten a better response. And so hopefully that means it's a good sign. I kept hearing that people were saying, I've already been to 2 crab feeds. I don't think I can do another one right away. So that's one of the reasons they moved the date. But want to encourage you to come and be part of this. This is a fundraiser for Crosswalk, primarily to help pay for the parking lot. So her and Dixie and Jill are all getting together and doing this whole crab thing. So plan on being here. If you don't eat crab, they will have options for you as well. So just want to encourage you to plan on being here and supporting that. And also, how many of you attended Black History Month yesterday? It was so fabulous. There was so much love in the room. We had this awesome choir come, gospel choir. The ceiling's still sticking up there. I'm surprised. It was so good. It was so loud, but you just felt it in your whole being, and it was just fabulous. And I want to encourage you to put it on your calendar for next year. The first Saturday of the month of February will be their 10-year anniversary. They're planning huge. So want to encourage you to put it on your calendars now. Make sure you plan on being here for that. Like I say, it's just a beautiful thing. JT, who organizes this, he had a friend that originally started helping him with the food. Peaches was her name. And he's going to encourage her to come back and help with the food as well. So I'm sure it's going to be fabulous. The soul food is always really, really good. So want to encourage you to put that on your calendars and plan on being here. And then also I want to thank you for my celebration last Sunday. Totally caught me by surprise. As you all know, not much goes on here that I don't know about. I had no idea. But I want to tell you, I got this cute travel mug from a friend. And it says, my new job title is Chaos Coordinator. So I have to tell you, I think it's pretty accurate. So again, thank you all for everything. Thanks for the love and just being here. Thank you.
No, I don't think so. I think we're good. Thank you. Singers, make your way to the stage. I'll be there in a second. A couple little quick shout outs. First of all, want to give you some context on one of the awesome factors with that choir. We, in the planning of this event, we asked the choir to get here somewhere around 1 o'clock with a start of the program about 2 o'clock, soft start. And so that would give us plenty of time to do mic check, make sure we had all the right connections for things and all that. And time kept ticking by. We don't know what happened, but after everybody had already arrived, around 2:15, the choir shows up. And no chance to hook anything up, no chance to see if the connections were right. And this is just a shout out to Ted because he knew what to do and on the fly was able to get them mixed. I've never seen his fingers move so fast. And you don't realize how complex doing sound is. It is incredibly complex. And so while he's just trying to find the signal for different singers, at the same time, individual singers are saying, hey, I need a little bit more of this mic in the mix, which means get it more in the monitors, which is a whole different thing to figure out. Somebody else is saying, I need a little more bass, in my mic. And so he's having to EQ that. It is incredibly complex. And I just remember afterwards going up to, after the whole thing was done, and just looking at Ted and says, man, you did it. You did it. So give Ted a round of applause. That was something. It was really good. And then I want to do this. We're trying to do some things to support our families more effectively, and also men. So we got 2 new things coming down the pike. These are just cold announcements right now, but more firm things are coming. For our parents, we're wanting to create an environment where they can come together, learn together, support each other. And so for our families, 1 per household, we have a cool new book. This is called Open and Relational Parenting. So it has to do with our theological position here, and how do you teach that to your kids, and how do you model that even in your parenting? So we believe that God is never coercive, because God is all loving. So how do you live this out? This is a medical doctor who also happens to be a theologian. So if you're a family household guy, you get a book today and discussion to come up in a few weeks. There you guys go. Thank you for being here. There you go. And they have gotten an email from me, I think. Who am I missing here? Oh, you don't get one, John. Come on. Huh? Well, wait till the copies run out. Yeah, we'll see. Parents of little ones first get it. I don't think I've missed anybody right now, but I know we have more than that. Okay, so that's coming, and look forward to that. And also, we're going to be doing some things to support our men in the church, to provide space for men to support each other, to learn together. So new things coming up very soon. Lots going to roll out in March, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can do that. All right. So we're going to make you sing a little bit today. We're not going to make you sing, because that's coercive. We're going to allow you. We're going to invite you to sing today. So I want you to stand up with us. And the first song we're going to do is a little twist on a song that I know you know. It is a marching song. And this was born out of the civil rights era in the 60s. You know it as They'll Know We Are Christians by Our Love. You like that song? Yeah, well, I'm glad. Well, I'm going to screw it up for you today, because I've turned the whole thing into a big question, because that's really it. Will they know we are Christians by our love? That becomes an invitation. So I found this guitarist. He's fantastic. Let's see if we can stay on it. Here we go. Are we one in the Spirit? Are we one in the Lord? Are we one in the Spirit? Are we one in the Lord? Do we pray that all unity may one day be restored? Will they know we are Christians by our love? By our love, will they know we are Christians by our love? All right, keep up, people. You're dragging. We got this. Will we walk with each other? Will we walk hand in hand? Will we walk with each other? Will we walk hand in hand? Will we together we'll spread the news that God is in our land? Will they know we are Christians by our love? By our love, will they know we are Christians by our love? Will we work with each other? Will we work side by side? Will we work with each other? Will we work side by side? Will we guard each man's dignity and save each one's pride? Will they know we are Christians by our love? By our love, will they know we are Christians by our love? Will they know we are Christians by our love? Will they know we are Christians by our love? Give yourself a hand, you did it. All right. Next song we're going to do, stand with us again. This is called Great Are You, Lord. this invites us to remember that the very breath of our lives is actually the Spirit of God. That is what animates our souls. It's what animates all of creation. It's ongoing unfolding, and you are invited to breathe deeply of this Spirit. You know this song. Take it deep. Maybe roll your shoulders a little bit, get into the zone. Take a deep breath. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. And great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. And great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, our toes will sing. Great are you, Lord. Do you really believe that? And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. I'm asking you, do you really believe it? And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise, we pour invite you to close your eyes and breathe. Just breathe. This is not just your breath you're breathing. This is not just oxygen you're breathing. You're breathing the very Spirit of God, the very thisness of life. You are grounded in the reality of love, of shalom, who is God. And you are not breathing alone. You're in the company of friends who are shouting this great truth together. There is hope for the world because we are in this together and love unites us. So we have one final song. This is a kind of a classic spiritual. We're going to do this a cappella, or as I like to say, Acapulco. And it's a classic, Spirit of the Living God, Fall Fresh on Me. We're going to do it 3 times, so you can go a little deeper with each time through. If you've never sung before, you'll get it pretty quick. Here we go. Spirit of the living God, fall fresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall fresh on me. Melt me, mold me, fill me, use me, Spirit of the living God, fall fresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall fresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall fresh on me. Melt me, mold me, fill me, use me, Spirit of the living God, fall fresh on me. Deeper. Spirit of the living God, fall fresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall fresh on me. Melt me, mold me, fill me, use me, Spirit of the living God, fall fresh on me. Amen. Have a seat. Dave, come on up. We have set the stage for you to take us into deeper meditation.
Yeah, I was going to say, I never fails. I practiced my little speech, my little intro, and there's no way I can use it now because it involves Trader Joe's, as usual. So my analogies always involve Trader Joe's for some reason. But no, that spoke exactly what I wanted to say, I want us to meditate today, and we're going to meditate in a certain way. But what I was going to talk about was how that experience that we're feeling right now, of being really present with the goodness of life, with the wonder and beauty and love. That's, to me, that's one way to think about what mindfulness meditation is all about, because we think about it as a dry thing, but what it, at its foundation, it's really about being present with more moments of our lives in this way we are right now, being present with, I don't know how to say it except the goodness, right? The goodness of life. So, so that's a great introduction. And let's just sort of maintain that feeling we have. And so we're going to go, the way we're going to do this is I've heard of a kind of mindfulness meditation. I haven't practiced it or taught it myself, but it's where a bell rings every once in a while to bring, sort of remind us what we're doing. Oh yeah, that's right. We're meditating. We're not planning our schedule next week. We're meditating. So I'm gonna be the bell. I'm just gonna, we're gonna have a few breaths just with ourselves in our silence, and then I'm gonna come back in and sort of guide us in exploring this space of being present, just being here with the goodness. And what, it's a very subtle thing. It involves the heart, as we feel it right now with those amazing songs and our amazing singers. We feel it, right? That we also, it's what happens in our mind and what happens with our awareness of all that too. So we're going to try and just get a taste of that. So one thing I wanted to say is the breath, because I like to explain things. I don't like things just being arbitrary. So the reason we use the breath as an anchor is that the breath is present for us all the time. It tends to be something we don't pay attention to, just going about our lives. Our body just does it. So, but it's always there. So it's very easy to use it as an object of practice for mindfulness and to bring ourselves back to this moment that we're in right now. And hopefully we're going to develop this in the guided meditation of just, focusing too on the goodness and the bounty and the beauty and the wonder that we're just walking through all the time. So, so that's the idea of the breath. It's our anchor. So we're always going to come back to the breath. I'm also going to introduce coming back to some other aspects of mindfulness, some other aspects of our experience in the moment. So let's just start in then. So what we want to do is we want to sit just comfortably. Meditation teachers teach all kinds of postures, but the basic idea is we want to feel grounded. We want to feel comfortable that we can sit. We don't want our bodies to think we're falling asleep. So we sort of sit up, it's good to sit up a little bit, but generally we just want to be comfortable so we can sit quietly for a few minutes. And we can have our eyes open or closed, whatever is most comfortable. If they're open, we're going to be focused on our breath. So then we tend to not look right at something. We tend to sort of have a soft gaze. Okay, so now that we're sitting comfortably, we just place our attention on the feel of our breath. And this is just our body breathing. It's a very simple action. And it's sort of, it provides us, as I said, with that anchor in the moment. So just easily place your attention there as you place your attention on anything. Just the feel of your breath, in breath, colder air, out breath, more warm, expansive air. So we'll take a few breaths like this, and then as I say, I'll come in as a bell. So paying attention to our senses is a good way to be in the moment. So just the goodness of everything coming in through our body. So just place your attention on your feet right now. as you go back to the breath. And just feel into all the sensations coming from your feet. The ball of your foot and your heel on the floor. Feelings of coldness. Feel into your toes a little bit. And then come back to your breath. Again, the feel of your breath, of your body breathing. This time as we come back, and maybe you're still with your breath, but we come back, let's focus on our hearing. And I like to do this often when I'm meditating because it sort of quiets my mind, quiets the internal chatter in my mind. So just really focus on all the sounds you hear now. And then bring your attention back to your breath. Okay, this next time, one of the things we do in meditation is we can create this sort of space where we can notice what's happening in our experience. So this time, just as you come back to your breath, come back to your breath, and then just be alert to the first thought or image or memory that comes. And just place your attention on that when it comes, whatever that thought. It might be the first breath or the third breath. Just wait for it and pay attention to it. Beautiful. So present with our experience. So now a thing we can do while we meditate and things that arise are about the goodness. So let's start with gratitude. This time, as we go back to the breath, think of a thing or things that you're grateful for. Home, clean water. I was just listening to a thing about how many people in the world don't have clean water. Good food. Just think of something that brings, and try and in that same, when we were singing, think about gratitude and see if that can come into your body in some way, present with this goodness. And then back to our breath. Now let's bring in love. Just think of somebody, it could be a pet even, who you just unconditionally love. And just think of them, bring it to your mind, and again, bring that feeling into your body as when we were singing. A feeling of love into your heart. And then back to the breath. And finally, again, songs set ourselves for this sense of the vastness of this universe we're in, that's vast goodness. Aware beings, these conscious beings on a beautiful earth in a vast universe. And so bring that to mind, and again, that feeling in our body of that awe and wonder, that here we are every day of our lives living in this amazing universe. And then back to our breath. And we'll go a little longer this time until the bell. Just spend a few breaths. Just being with ourselves and our experience right now. All right, thank you.
I don't know how long ago it was. Ellie Hubbard would remember this, but she introduced us to a friend of hers, Daryl Ismail. And it was over a year ago, maybe, Ellie, something like that. 2 years, wow. Those of you who were here will remember him. He was a larger-than-life person who has this incredibly rich baritone opera-trained voice. You remember this guy? No mic necessary for Daryl. Well, he runs a nonprofit that does microfinancing in Kenya. And as part of Black History Month, Ellie reached out to him to see if he would offer something to us. And it just happens that he's released this video, which I want to roll for you now, called Wade in the Water. And this song in particular is an invitation for us to really hear the invitation of faith, because our faith is a constant invitation from God to go just one step deeper. So enjoy this. And by the way, this was recorded on the east coast of Africa in Kenya, right on the sea. So enjoy.
In the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. There are moments when the water is still. And there are moments when heaven leans low and the water is stirred. Scripture tells of a pool where at appointed times an angel troubled the water. Much like the pool of Bethesda, which means house of mercy, there is the pool of generosity. And just like at Bethesda, many remain by the wayside of generosity, waiting, reasoning, factoring, and hesitating, explaining why the moment is not yet right for them. There are moments when the water is still, and there are moments when heaven leans low and the water is stirred. Mm-hmm. 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 There are moments when the water is still, and there are moments when heaven leans low and the water is stirred. Like the pool of Bethesda, the pool of generosity is crowded with need, a place where those in need of resources are healed by receiving, and those who hold resources are healed by unfurling. See that man all dressed in white, God's gonna trouble the water. He must be a man of the Israelites. God's gonna trouble the water. Mm, 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 mm. It takes courage and faith to get into the water, humility and trust to believe in the multiplication of God's economy. The question is not a matter of whether heaven will stir the water, but whether you will wade in it and be transformed. There are moments when the water is still, and there are moments when heaven leaves low and the water is stirred. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water. God.
Good? Yeah. I think you're among the first audience as to see that video. It's really, really cool. So let that mess with you as we go through today's teaching and beyond, that there is this invitation to wade into the water deeper. And I wonder what that might mean for you, which is altogether perfect for what we're talking about today as we wrap up the series, The Quest for Thin Places, How to Find Spirituality After Deconstruction. And today we are talking about cultivating that process. We've been through deconstruction. We recognize that deconstruction is a part of every facet of our lives. Often we are dragged into it. We don't want to deconstruct. We're forced to deconstruct. We do this with our physical bodies. We don't want to come out of the womb. We're forced out of the womb. We're screaming and kicking all the way. And at pretty much every stage of life, we struggle with this, and yet we do it. All of our relationships have to go through deconstruction. Interestingly, the Christian church, because of some weird historical things that happen about every 500 years or so, there was a doubling down on you have to believe this or else. And that's problematic because it made deconstructing a little bit harder. It's like we told ourselves, or we were told, you can't deconstruct because you're going against the church and you're going against God, so don't touch it. It's too holy to mess with. But deconstruction was part of Jesus's tradition, and it should be a part of ours. So after we recognize it's okay to do that, we need to clarify what we're really about. That has to do with wondering why we're doing this faith thing in the first place. You might remember I annoyed you with that process of asking why 5 times. So why are you pursuing faith? You answer the question, well, why is that? You answer the question, well, why is that? By the time you get to number 5 or so, you have great clarity. So for some of you, just as an example, for some of you, you were taught to pursue faith to make sure that you got into heaven someday, that God was going to forgive you and you'd be welcome into heaven. Well, all right, life's short, heaven's long. That logic makes some sense. But why does that matter? If you keep asking why, you're probably going to get down to something more than just that. You're probably going to get down to a space, something like you want to feel connected to this God, and you want to feel like this presence that we call God is welcoming to you. You want to feel grounded, resonant with all this thing. You want to walk in relationship with this other and with everybody else. Something like that probably will bubble up. To get there, to that space, we remove things from our lives. And I want to give you permission that it's okay to remove parts of the tradition that are not working for you presently. It's okay. I want to let you know also that was a core part of the rabbinical tradition in Jesus' day. There were whole swaths of scripture in what we now call the Old Testament or the Older Testament, where the ancient rabbis would look at a particular text and be like, I have no idea what this means or how to apply it, so we're not going to talk about it. And that's how they treated it. They just categorically put it aside until they had greater clarification. It's okay to park things for a while because they don't make sense and it's not helping you to spin your wheels on these things. Removing things is a wise thing to do. And by the way, later on in your life, you might find yourself picking some of those things back up because they do resonate with you at some point. So this whole thing's a process which we'll work into. The quest then, my whole point that week was really about the conference with Tom Ord and setting us up to continually remind ourselves to remain humble, that we don't know everything, we don't see everything, and so to remain open. And then the reconstruction process can happen, and that finally gets us to the cultivate, sustaining habits for a life of spirituality, which is what I want to talk about today. Being Super Bowl Sunday, as much as this causes me pain to do it, there is a quote that I think offers some interesting fodder for our dialogue together and at least internally. And it comes from, and I hate to say this again, arguably one of the greatest football players of all time based on his stats, and that guy is Tom Brady. Can I get a groan from you? Yes, I know. We're tired of the New England Patriots, but he was a fantastic quarterback. And when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, this was part of his speech. He said, life is hard. No matter who you are, there are bumps and hits and bruises along the way. And my advice is to prepare yourself, because football lessons teach us that success and achievement come from overcoming adversity and that team accomplishment far exceeds anyone's individual goals. To be successful at anything, the truth is you don't have to be special. You just have to be what most people aren't: consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. No shortcuts. Interesting stuff he throws in there. We'll come back to that a little later because I might have to take issue with some of Tom's words there, but we'll see. Related to this, Stephen Covey shares this, and there's a couple other authors that really lean into this. He says, the only thing that endures over time is the law of the farm. You must prepare the ground, plant the seed, cultivate, and water if you expect to reap the harvest. So that leads to some opening questions for you. These two questions are, what's one thing you have cultivated in your life, if this is all a cultivation process, and what was involved in the process? I'm going to give you just 30 seconds to think. This could be an actual literal plant. This could be a skill. This could be a habit that you've done. I don't know what it is, but 30 seconds, talk or think about it first, and then I'll have you do something else. What's one thing you've cultivated? What was the process? Okay, everybody have something in mind? Okay, I want you to share in your tables just very briefly. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes so everybody gets a chance to talk. What did you cultivate? What was involved in the process? Go for it.
Mine is that I spent 30 years in the toy industry, and then I left the toy industry and cultivated community involvement for the first time. Because in the toy industry, I was always going somewhere else. And so the last 18, 19 years, I've been really involved in the community and cultivating services and resources for people in the community. So it's been really important journey for me. And to this day, things happen. I was so excited. I'm sorry. I was so excited this weekend as I was celebrating my week because I was actually able to share this week and trying to navigate they were doing their response. So it was really fun for me. They were all great achievements, which was great. I used to come in. I have an electric car that's on, but I used to come in the bookstore. Yeah, because I had my office was near the hospital. So that was the closest gas station. It had a gas car. I still, although I haven't done it in a while, I used to come to the car wash too.
Yeah, I like the people there. They're pretty nice.
Yeah, they seem pretty nice. Yeah, they've always been very nice. Points. So you know, key in my thing, get my discount on my gas, and I have a couple of points for me to come in and get stuff in the stores. So how long have you been back?
About 2 years.
Oh, okay, cool. What part of town do you live in?
I live right on Parish Road, but you know, I go there to
Yeah. Back in there. I've had a couple of
All right. I know I'm cutting you off. You have more to talk about. This gives you something to talk about after the service is over, so you're welcome on that. My hunch is that there were probably, how many of you talked about a musical instrument maybe that you cultivated, learned? Oh, okay. That was a bad guess. All right. How about a literal plant? Did any of you talk about a literal planting or gardening or something like that? All right. Anybody talk about a particular skill set that you developed in a particular area? Okay, very good. Some of you might even think to yourself, well, I haven't cultivated anything. All I do is I go to work and I come home and I binge watch Netflix and then I do it all over again the next day. Well, guess what? You cultivated that skill. You did. You got yourself into a pattern of figuring out how to survive such a thing, and that became a part of your thing. You cultivated that excellence in couch potatoing. We do this in all kinds of ways. Well, Jesus actually talked about this whole soil issue and cultivating things in a parable, and I want to give you an idea before I share this parable with you, just in light of where we are with this series. So I'm going to share a story from Jesus' life where he shares a parable in Matthew chapter 13. Matthew 12, the tide turns for Jesus. He's teaching, he's doing things, he's walking along the road with the disciples on a Sabbath day where you're not supposed to do any work whatsoever, which includes harvesting grain. But the boys and Jesus are hungry. So they picked grain and they ate it. And religious leaders, authorities, saw him do it and called him out for it. Basically saying, you broke one of the obvious laws of God. Keeping the Sabbath is in the top 10 list of God's most important laws, and you just broke it. And Jesus went back at them and talked about how the Sabbath is made for humanity, not humanity for the Sabbath. And so this was an example of him challenging the religious authorities of his day. They get into another squabble, and by the end of chapter 12, we're told that the leaders of the Jewish religion at that point started to conspire how they were going to get him arrested and killed. So that's the kind of stuff that happened to Jesus because he simply started thinking about a different way. So if you, in your process, are thinking things differently and saying things differently, or even daring to quote Jesus when he said things differently and you're getting pushback, that's to be expected. That's just the way the process works, and you'll see why in just a moment. But this is the story that I wanted to share with you today. Jesus was renowned by this time for his healing, for his speaking. So that day, Jesus went out of the house and sat down beside the lake. Such large crowds gathered around him that he climbed into a boat and sat down. The whole crowd was standing on the shore. He said many things to them in parables, like this one. A farmer went out to scatter seed. As he was scattering seed, some fell on the path, and the birds came and ate it. Other seed fell on rocky ground where the soil was shallow. They sprouted immediately because the soil wasn't deep. But when the sun came up, it scorched the plants and they dried up because they had no roots. Other seed fell along thorny plants. The thorny plants grew and choked them. Other seed fell on good soil and bore fruit. In one case, a yield of 100 to 1. In another case, a yield of 60 to 1. In another case, a yield of 30 to 1. Everyone who has ears should pay attention. Raise your hand if you have ears. Fantastic. Later on, Jesus goes and explains these soils. The disciples often in the Gospels are clueless about what Jesus is talking about and sometimes beg for explanation. And so Jesus explains this, that first story where seed is scattered on kind of like a gravel road and the birds come. He says that's like people who hear the word, but they don't really understand it. And so it's easily plucked away because it's just confusing and nonsense to them. And the soil where they can't get deep roots, but it grows real quick, well, that's like an environment where you don't have the opportunity for the roots of faith to grow very deep. And so that happens. And the one where it gets choked out by thorns, he says, that's when we get so focused and consumed by the worries of life and the world that it chokes out the possibility of faith. Just a quick question. How many of you have ever felt like that when the news is especially bad? Right. So we know that's a variable that is a threat to us and our soil keeping and tending. But then he says, if you have good soil and you've cultivated that and provided good soil, it creates an abundance, far more than just the one grain falling into the soil in the beginning. So my question for you right now is simply this, or these. How would you describe the soil of your faith right now? How would you describe the soil of your faith? Are you in the weedy soil that's getting choked out by the worries of the world? You feel like it's all falling apart because you're so confused? Shallow soil, feels like the sun's hitting it? Or is it rich soil? And another question is, what was the faith soil that you did not choose? This is the soil of your youth and childhood mostly. Because some of us, none of us chose that soil. So if you grew up in an environment that didn't talk faith or practice any of that at all, it's very likely that it was hard for it to get much of a grip, much of a root. But you're not a kid anymore. And so my question now is, what faith soil have you chosen since? Because now we're the cultivators. We're the ones who can determine what kind of soil we want to have. And that, of course, leads to more questions like, why do you want to cultivate your faith in the first place? And that gets to the annoying why question. Why? To keep remembering what is central to your pursuit. Why do you want this? Why did you show up today? The coffee and donuts are delicious, but is there something deeper than that for you today? I hope so. Anthony DeMella, who was a Jesuit priest living in India, he was also a psychotherapist. He offers this exchange between a disciple and his Zen master. The disciple, is there anything that I can do to make myself enlightened? The Zen master, as little as you can do to make the sun rise in the morning. The disciple said, then of what use are the spiritual exercises you prescribe? And the answer, to make sure you are not asleep when the sun begins to rise. It's pretty good. But I hope you understand this isn't just simply waking up before dawn. The disciplines that we do, those cultivation things that we talk about, the things we put in place into our lives, are to make it more likely that you're going to experience the things of God that are happening all the time. Not just a sunrise once a day, but evidences, experiences of God that are popping up all around you all the time, if you have eyes to see it. Turns out our brain helps us with some of these things. I found this quite interesting in the book that Dana Hicks wrote that we've been working through. It says, sometimes neurology makes sense in part of spiritual experiences. The reticular activating system, which is the fine network stuff in our brainstem, is part of the human brainstem. Its job is to filter out unnecessary information so the most important stuff gets through, or the thing you're focused on. We often see and hear what we are looking for, not all of what is actually there. Now, Dana Hicks gives an example of the car. I could probably get this off a little bit, but the gist is the same. He'd been looking for a new car, and he decided the car that he wanted was a silver Honda CR-V. And so he goes to the Honda dealership, and he's ready to buy a silver Honda CR-V. The bummer was they didn't have any silver Honda CR-Vs in stock, but they did have a cool green Honda CR-V. And the salesperson was like, hey, this is a pretty cool new color. What do you think about this green one? And he was like, well, it is pretty cool, I guess. So he went for it, got the green one. And like often people do with big purchases, he started to wonder, did I make a mistake? Is this going to be like an out of style color next Tuesday and I'm going to be the only idiot driving around in this car? And so he started to wonder and ask himself, does anybody drive a green CRV? And you know what started to happen? He started to notice green CRVs everywhere because he trained his brain to look for the thing he was seeking. When Jesus said, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be open to you, that makes sense. Turns out we are hardwired for these things, to notice the things that we are actually seeking. And so I want to suggest to you by extension, that could it be that there are things of God happening all around us, but we're never asking the question. We're never fine-tuning our brain or our RAS to see them. And he goes on to talk about this RAS a little bit more. Another part of the RAS, the reticular activating system, is seeking information that validates our belief. This should ring bells in our head in the last decade of politics. If you think that people are basically selfish, greedy, and out for themselves, you will notice evidence everywhere that reinforces that belief. If you believe people are generally kind and generous, you will find proof of that too. There is plenty of evidence for either of these beliefs, but your RAS finds evidence to reinforce what you have chosen to believe. This can be dangerous when the RAS traps us into biases or stereotypes and doesn't allow us to see another perspective. Now, this reality has been part of our culture for a very long time. I don't know if you knew this, but we are a consumer-based culture here in the United States. And there was a new sophistication that entered into the marketplace about 100 years ago with advertising. Prior to this particular time, if you were selling a rake, for example, there might be a flyer for the local hardware store saying, here is a rake for $5. It has a wooden handle and an iron fork. And you just look at it and say, I don't need a rake. But then they figured out if they could get you dissatisfied with your lousy rake and talk about how wonderful the new rake could be, they might be able to increase their sales. And so that's exactly what they did. Now the advertising let you know that your old crappy rake sucks. I bet that iron fork on there has lots of rust on it, and I bet there are splinters in that handle that are causing you problems all day long. But look at this new shiny hickory handled rake. We put a new coating on the fork, so it's going to last even longer and stuff's going to fall off of it quicker. This is the best rake you've ever seen. Now, all of a sudden, you've seen the advertisement and you're like, I hate my rake, even though you were completely satisfied with it 10 minutes before you saw the ad. And now you must have the rake. What are my friends and neighbors going to say if I keep that lousy old rake when this new one is right there for only $5, right? Now, we've perfected this. We've perfected this, haven't we? So now with technology, you know what I'm talking about here. If you search anything on Google, whatever you have searched on Google is going to show up all over the place. It's going to show up in the ads on Facebook and Instagram and in your email somehow. So I don't care if you're searching for speedboats or hemorrhoid cream, it is going to start showing up. It's crazy because there is a new level of sophistication toward our consumerism and toward our marketing. My wife has this happen all the time because she's always looking for a cool book for the kids program, or since we just redid the nursery area, the different things out there. Now she gets all kinds of stuff that's related to a little kitchenette set for children, all this stuff, even though our kids are grown and flown. Well, our minds are hardwired to get into this and to see it and to want it and all that. It's part of giving into this. But there's a deeper, darker thing, which I know you've experienced in recent years. And that has to do with the separating people based on their belief systems and based on the news that they watch. And the algorithms help that way too. We are fed the information that sounds right to us, not comprehensive, but to our niche self. So whatever you're searching in terms of news, whatever you're clicking on as you're going through whatever news feed you follow, the algorithms behind that are getting cultivated and manipulated to give you more of that information. This shouldn't be anything new to you. Take that to its darkest extremes. And when presidential elections happen, you have very divided camps. And I bet you know people, or you are the people who have lost friendships, seen families broken apart because of this phenomenon. All right? Anybody know about this? Yeah. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? Heartbreaking. Just because we automatically desire, by design, by our own physicality, to be binaried in that way. It means we need to be aware that this is a physiological, neurological tendency and capacity that is baked into our core. Are we aware that we like to hear things that agree with our perspective? It matters with our news, and frankly, it matters with our theology. This is one of the risky parts of teaching you the stuff that I've tried to teach or just share with you. As I learn stuff, I want to share it with you, but I already knew that when I would teach stuff, I was going against a very, very large tradition of just more classic ways of thinking about the Bible, about Jesus, about God, about theology itself. Most of the publishing companies that deal with Christianity are of a classic Christianity. That means the stuff that you buy, the stuff that you research, most of it is not hearing the academics that are out there that are more current, or perspectives that don't fit that more classic view. That means that when I say something, or your Angie says something, or your Matt says something, or your Tom Ward says something, there's a good possibility you'll fact check it, and you'll look through your Life Application Study Bible, and you look down at the text notes on the verse that we are dismantling, and you'll say, well, it says right here, Pastor Pete, know-it-all, he's disagreeing with you, this Holy Bible. Well, it's not the Holy Bible that's disagreeing with me. It's whoever that commentator was, right? And that commentator was paid to write that commentary by a publisher who's keeping things in line so that they can sell more study Bibles. You see what I'm saying? So we binary ourselves, and we do this stuff all the time. So this RAS, on the one hand, is super cool that we are designed with this capacity to narrow our focus and see things that have been there, that we pick up on things that we won't pick up on unless we focus on them. But it also reminds us to be careful because we do those things, because we tend to only see the things that we are looking for. And we've seen that with politics. So I want to say that I think this is a truth, that we all have a reticular activating system that can work for us, but also can be problematic. But I don't think that's the whole story of spirituality. Now, Dana Hicks, I want to kind of go back and have another conversation with him and just flesh him out a little bit, because he kind of, in his chapter, just kind of said, if any kind of woo-woo stuff you see in terms of spirituality, don't get too excited. It's just your reticular activating system. And I just kind of want to push back on that. I do think that when we focus on things that we want to see, if we want to see, in the first service I did the meditation, and I talked about how love is bigger. Love is always bigger. And knowing that people right now with our news feeds and all that are questioning, is love really bigger? But what I want to encourage you to see, if you use this as a mantra and just say to yourself over and over again, love is bigger, guess what? I know you're going to start to see evidences of love's bigness all over the place. You're here. You are not killing each other right now. Yet. That is a sign of love right here. You listen to each other with interest and respect. That is an evidence of love. Love is bigger. It's all over the place. I believe that that's true, that it activates our reticular activating system to see love wherever we want, like the author said. And yet, I think there's more. I think this is also true, that there is a loving, nudging, wooing presence that we call God that points all towards shalom, that this love is emanating from a source, that is emanating from a presence that is baked into all of creation. This way of thinking about God is different than classic theology generally. It's called panentheism. It means that all is in God. Like the whole thing, all of the expanding creation is in God, in the presence of God, meaning you cannot escape it. It means the fingerprints and the presence of God is in you right now. And it's in the person you're looking at, and it's in the whole core. It doesn't mean that nature and plants and you are God, but it means that this presence permeates absolutely all existence. It's a profound way to think. And when we think about this, we might start to realize that it helps make sense of why things happen that cannot be explained by our reactivating whatever system, the reticular activating system. Have you ever had one of these experiences where you're kind of dialed into a certain thing? Maybe you're praying about a certain thing, seeking a certain thing. And so you're walking in that reality. And then all of a sudden, all sorts of things just sort of come into place from left field, from other people. It's like you're seeing your prayers answered from 100 different directions. Have you ever had that happen before? It's profound when these things happen. And it feels for a moment like God is up there with the puppet strings, or maybe God really is the genie in a bottle, and he finally heard you say it long enough, and he finally gave you the wish. But maybe there's a different thing that helps us hold our reticular activating system and the Spirit of God together. Perhaps in our pursuit of shalom, however that's expressed in your prayers. Maybe we're marching along with that, but we need to remember that however many billions of people we currently have in the world, all of those people are being influenced by shalom as well. All toward the same guiding force of love, the same North Star. And there are going to be moments where there is a coalescing, there is a synchronicity of all these people that are listening to that same voice who are going to march in similar step. And of course, we're going to see things come together in incredibly powerful ways. That makes sense to me, that there is something bigger that is wooing us forward. And of course, we're going to see it happen and play out. We're going to call it sometimes miracles because it feels like that. Maybe we don't see as many miracles as there always are. And maybe we don't see as many miracles as there could be because we're not paying attention. Eugene Peterson, who was the biblical scholar who gave us the Message translation of the Bible, it's reported that he would say this phrase to his children as they would go to sleep. God loves you. God is on your side. God is pursuing you. God is relentless. Can you say that out loud with me? God loves you. God is on your side. God is pursuing you. God is relentless. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to look across the table or somebody else in the room and say to them, God loves you. God is on your side. God is pursuing you. God is relentless. Holy moly, what would happen if we did that more often, if we lived in that reality? Holy cow. But a few warnings before we go too far and get too excited. Because I want to talk about faith cultivation briefly and the American can-do spirit. This idea that we can do anything we want all by ourselves with our own effort. And so I want to call into question Tom Brady's comments. Is Tom Brady correct? And I want to tell you, and if Tom were here, he couldn't make it today for some reason, had other Super Bowl things he was doing. But if he was here, I would say, Tom, I'm impressed with your career. You've ruined a lot of Super Bowls for me. But I would say, Tom, you said that if I was just committed enough, disciplined enough, it doesn't mean that I'm special, it just means I did it better than anybody else in terms of my commitment to discipline. I would say to Tom, no matter how hard I try, I will never, ever, ever be an NFL quarterback. That's never going to happen. And part of this, he did get into this with teams. I don't want to rip on Tom too much, but I do want to say that part of his speech is echoing this idea that we can do it all on our own. That if we just work hard enough, that's the answer. And I want to tell you that's baloney, even for Tom Brady. Now, he did have one of the most strict diet plans ever crafted so that he could be at peak performance anytime he was doing his thing. I get that. But there were so many other factors involved in the becoming of Tom Brady. A supportive family, people who paid for his gear, who made it possible, living in an environment in a school that had a good program with a good coach who learned it somewhere along the way, having the right team players around him so that he could shine and develop in his skill. Going on to college, and the same kind of thing, being a part of a very wealthy football organization who could afford really high quality, high performance players to protect him so he would have a pocket to sit in for a long time to make what seemed to be miraculous, brilliant plays. Taking nothing away from Tom, but we are never doing anything alone. You cannot do it alone. You have never done it alone. And we need to get over our American arrogance. It is a particularly American arrogance because we are built on rugged individualism. I can do it, just like John Wayne. But you can't do it alone. You're constantly in need of others. I'd say that the majority of you, in fact, I would say all of you, are wearing clothes that you did not make. You ate food this morning that you did not cultivate. You drank coffee this morning that you certainly didn't grow those beans or roast them or get them here. You are dependent on others all the time. And so I want to be aware of that. I want to be aware, too, of something that Jesus said, or is connoted in his temptations. He was tempted to turn a stone into bread after 40 days of fasting. He was tempted to bow down before Satan and all the world would be his. And he was tempted to throw himself off the pinnacle of the temple and ask God to save his life. And these had three different things. The first one about the turning stone to bread was really, am I going to lead my life? Am I going to live my life based on my physical urgings? Am I just going to go with whatever I'm feeling like doing? Not that that's all bad, but if that's the only thing, that could be a real problem. The other one about bowing down was just like, all right, are you going to get there the wrong way? Are you going to do it the illegal way by bowing down to Satan, a shortcut, so to speak, to have all the world power? Of course, that was a lie anyway. And the final one about throwing himself off was, are you going to be God? Because you're basically telling God what to do instead of the other way around. You're becoming God when you are saying to God, I'm going to do this thing and you got to catch me. That's kind of the general, what the content means. But Dana Hicks points out another thing, that in the Jesus temptations, they're all immediate results focused. And that sings to us as Americans. We love our fast food. We love our smartphones that make things go really fast. And I want to tell you that cultivating a deep, rich spirituality is not fast food. It is not going to happen overnight. It takes time. It changes. It ebbs and flows. And we struggle with that. Some of you may have been hoping that this book was going to be the answer all. Well, it's helpful, I hope. But the answer is to continue to cultivate this with different practices throughout the course of our life. I remember the day, because I am old enough to know that you didn't make long distance calls because they were too expensive. And so when Lynn and I were, not even engaged yet, but I was living in Michigan over a summer and she was still in Kansas City, I would only call her once a week because it was too expensive. And I couldn't afford $50 for an hour-long conversation or whatever it might have been. So you know what I did? And what she did? We would write each other letters. We would have to wait days for that to be delivered and the next one to be received. We knew that this is just the way it was. Our ancestors knew no such luxuries. If they sent a letter and they were in New York and their loved one was in San Francisco, we're talking weeks. How about an ocean apart? And yet we want to know. How many of you have ever texted somebody and you were frustrated when they did not get back to you within 5 minutes? It's crazy. We want immediate results on everything. But spirituality does not work like that. It is something we develop over time. And the final thing I want to offer you, and then I'll let you get out of here and start eating yourself to death today, has to do with Success and Not Yet by an education researcher named Carol Dweck. This was briefly referred to in the book, and in the footnotes, he gave a TED Talk reference that Carol Dweck was the person with. So Carol Dweck did some research on why students exceed in some ways, at least one of the variables, why some students succeed and why some struggle so much, and why entire schools in a district succeed versus not so much. And one of the things that they played with was how we grade students. And the traditional way, is sort of pass, fail, or, you get an A and that's great. You get a B, that's still pretty great. C, which is supposed to be average, anymore, that's not really that average. You're on the brink, and if you're getting a C or a C minus, heaven forbid, that's almost fail, right? And that's how it's sort of wired. And our achievement-based society dials into that. So our going to school, at least for some families, it was for me, was to make the grade. I want to make my parents happy, and so I'm going to get A's as much as I can. As much as I can. So I would work hard to bring home a good school report. And if the grade card was good, guess what happened in the Shaw household? Ice cream. Yes, that's right. That's right. Ice cream. We celebrated every quarter. We pretty much would get ice cream. I think even if we would have gotten C's, we'd still gotten ice cream, but we weren't sure. So we had to make sure we did good. Now, did I learn things throughout my education? Yeah, of course we did. I still had to pass the test. Still had to get the A's. All that. But what they learned is that was ineffective for some kids in schools that were particularly unsupported, often urban schools. Urban schools are often unsupported because the parents are working too much to be able to be in the classroom to help the kids with homework, all that stuff. And because their school funds are tied to tax dollars based on property right there locally, they don't have the kind of resources to make that happen. It's a huge problem in America by design 100 years ago to make sure it stays that way, which is another sermon altogether. But what they decided to do is try their theory out. What if we said something different when a kid was struggling? So instead of putting a D, in a big red marker on an essay perhaps, they would write, not yet. Not yet. There's a possibility that you can do better. Give it another go. Not yet. You know what happened when they went to a not yet philosophy? Some of these poorest schools, most underperforming schools, became some of the top performing schools in their district. Against private schools, against well-funded suburban schools, because of the theory of not yet. I imagine that some of you gave up on your faith or gave up on your spirituality at some point in your life because you felt like you just didn't do it. You made a New Year's resolution. I'm going to read the whole Bible this year. You even got yourself a one-year Bible. And then you got sidetracked with Bridgerton or who knows what. And all of a sudden, there's too much Bible to read and you gave up. I'm never going to get this done. Or I'm going to wake up early and have my meditation time. And too many days pass and you feel like you failed. Maybe it's just a not yet. Give yourselves a break, people. The whole thing is a process. The whole thing is a process. As you go through different ages and stages of life, it's going to be different for you. You're going to do it differently. That's all right. Not yet. In fact, I want to tell you, if we came back next year and you talk to me about how your spirituality is going, you know what I'm going to tell you? Not yet. Because it's always going to be not yet, and that's a wonderful thing. That means there's more to discover. There's more to live into and lean into. That is a beautiful, wonderful gift for us. This whole thing is a process of learning to cultivate our lives and our soil so that we can walk more deeply with God. We can wade into that water where the presence of God resides, and we see the miraculous happening, which is going to change and ebb and flow as we go through life and see different things. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? That's the possibility that is before us. And when those things coalesce, that's when we see love is bigger all the time, more and more and more. And even in days when ridiculous things are coming across our news feeds, we can still live and walk in hope and strength and pursue love because we are living in the reality that love is bigger all the time. So this leads to sort of some final questions. I'm not going to make you talk about these. But I'm wondering, what is Shalom nudging you toward now? I'm wondering, how might you continue cultivating your faith so that you may be awake for the sunrises to come? Knowing this is not a pass-fail, but this is an ongoing process where your grade will continually be And this is so wonderful. Not yet. There's more. There's more. Let's pray together. God, I am so grateful that you are a not yet God. This is how you designed it. We screwed it up. We made it a pass-fail thing when you've always been a not yet kind of process God, walking with us through the ins and outs of life, the hardships, the joys, the peaks, the valleys, walking with us, guiding us, wooing us, nudging us toward shalom at every turn. Shalom that takes us deeper, to experience life deeper, lovelier, to be agents of shalom in the world. This is what you dream of. This is really what we dream of. And so may we cultivate our soil. May we cultivate the things that we know will help us grow, knowing you are with us, guiding us, calling us, wooing us, loving us every step of the way. I ask this in the name of Jesus, who we are trying to follow. Amen. Thanks for coming. I hope you have a great day. Go Seahawks. Can't believe I just said that.
It's right back there. Actually, there's other books. Well, yeah, there's a Bible.
Are they free?
Yeah, you can see right now.